Have you ever felt like life, with all its challenges, it's almost like a strategic game where every single move counts? Well, our deep dive today kind of suggests it might actually be just that. We're digging into Robert Greene's really powerful work, The 33 Strategies of War.
Mm.
And just so you know, our chat today is based on a pretty concise summary of the book. It's designed to give you the key insights without you needing to tackle, 500 plus pages.
Yeah, it's a hefty one, and it's definitely not some dusty old military history book, not at all. Greene's work, it really sits at this interesting crossroads of strategy, self-help, and even deep psychology. That mix is what makes it so relevant, I think. Not just for, generals, but for everyday life, modern life.
Exactly. And that's really our mission here today, to unpack that main idea,
Yeah.
how these potent strategies from history, from actual warfare and famous generals, how they can apply directly to your life. Talking business,
Yeah.
yeah, but also relationships, even just personal growth. And let's be clear, this isn't about literal fighting. It's about fostering what Green calls a mindset of a warrior for the hurdles you face day to day.
Right. And what's really striking is how he takes these, sometimes ancient principles and makes them feel timeless. It's about seeing your own life, maybe your projects, even your own thoughts, through a more strategic lens, understanding power dynamics, influence.
Yeah, influence is a big one. And we promise, this deep dive, it'll give you a solid shortcut to being really well informed on this whole topic, packed with maybe some surprising facts and practical takeaways. Okay, so let's jump in. Green breaks these strategies into a few key sections. Each one tackles a different side of conflict, starting with self-directed warfare. Now, that sounds pretty intense, right? But it's actually about battling, ourselves first.
That's exactly where Greene says it all begins. True strategic skill. Self-directed warfare is all about facing down your internal roadblocks, the fears, the biases, those emotional reactions that cloud judgment. It's basically know thyself, but in a strategic way. Getting your own house in order mentally before you even look outwards.
Right. So the first strategy he mentions is identify and declare war on your real enemies. What jumped out at me here is that Green says it's not always external threats. Often it's your own internal stuff, biases, fears, limiting beliefs. He argues those are often the real adversaries holding you back.
It's about spotting that inner saboteur.
And disarming it, yeah.
Absolutely. And then there's a really key one. Don't fight new problems with old solutions. Green points out how common this trap, and how it just leads to stagnation. It really makes you ask, are you genuinely adapting or just kind of recycling old tactics?
Oh, that clicks immediately. We all do that, right? Fall back on what's familiar, even when it's not working. And I like this one. Create urgency act, as if you have no other option. It's not just about moving fast. It's more psychological, like creating a deadline in your head to kill procrastination and just get moving, force that momentum.
Exactly, overcoming that inertia. And crucial too, stay calm in chaos. When everything's going nuts around you, keeping your cool is just vital. It lets you think clearly, observe, respond strategically, instead of just reacting emotionally, like the general who keeps his head while everyone else is losing theirs.
Powerful stuff for just mastering your own mind. Okay, so once you've got that inner landscape sorted, Green shifts focus to dealing with others, commanding, collaborating. He calls this organizational warfare, where the focus shifts to the human dynamics within any group.
Precisely. Yeah, these strategies are about effective leadership, building a cohesive team, and importantly, managing people well to reach a common goal. It's like orchestrating a group, maybe a business team or a project group, almost like a general directing an army.
So avoiding groupthink comes up here. Green seems to really stress that. It's not just about thinking for yourself, but recognizing that uniform, uncritical agreement is actually a strategic disadvantage.
That's a really important point.
Real innovation, good decisions, they often need different viewpoints, maybe even some constructive dissent.
Absolutely. And then there's divide your forces smartly, which isn't always literal delegation, Green points out. It could be about creating multiple pressure points or using specialized skills to tackle a bottleneck, like flanking an enemy from different sides to split their focus.
And here's one that really hits home for motivating teams. Make your mission feel like a bigger cause to inspire others. This isn't just about boosting morale, is it? Green shows how framing something as part of a grander purpose can get people to put in way more effort, more creativity than just doing their job.
Yeah, it turns a task into almost a moral imperative. It's the power of narrative, really. Okay, so moving beyond teamwork, the book then tackles defensive strategies. These are for when you're, feeling under pressure, under attack, maybe vulnerable. It's all about building resilience.
Right. So it's not just about surviving, but using that vulnerability strategically.
Yeah.
Pick your battles wisely is like, number one, you just can't fight on every front, can you? It's about saving your energy, your resources for what really matters.
Exactly. Strategic conservation. And then turn pressure into opportunity. This is a big mindset shift. Instead of just getting crushed by the pressure, you're actively looking for an opening, maybe a weakness in whatever's attacking you that you can actually use.
That's tough, but yeah, powerful. Being bold is another one. Make your presence strong. Even if you're feeling weak or you're at a disadvantage, projecting confidence, projecting resolve, that can totally change the dynamic. It can actually deter further attacks.
It's a psychological shield in a way, and sometimes you might need to trade space or things to gain time. This could be a tactical retreat or, making a calculated sacrifice, anything to buy yourself those crucial moments to regroup, rethink your strategy.
Lose small battles.
Yeah.
Win the big war. That's a classic,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Reminds you not to get bogged down in every little skirmish. Keep your eye on the ultimate prize. And finally, knowing when and how to end things. Strategic disengagement. That can be incredibly hard, but sometimes essential to avoid getting stuck in a long, costly fight.
Definitely. So having looked at defense and navigating disadvantages, Greene then pushes us towards seizing the initiative, which brings us neatly to offensive strategies. Here, the focus shifts to being proactive, decisive action.
Yeah, I can totally see how strike fast and unexpectedly works in business, not just war. It's not just about being first, though. Greene really emphasizes how this creates, shock and awe. It disrupts your opponent's thinking, forces them onto the back foot, reacting instead of planning. That gives you a huge psychological edge.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating is how much he stresses controlling the narrative, controlling the timeline. That's summed up in control the situation, set the pace, you dictate the flow, you make others play your game by your rules.
Right. And then you've got hit where it hurts most, finding that core vulnerability in a problem or maybe a competitor. It's strategic targeting.
Yeah.
Focus your energy for maximum impact.
Precisely. And then you see strategies like break the enemy into smaller parts or focus on weakness, not strength.
Sure.
It's about taking a big, scary problem or opponent and dissecting it into more manageable pieces. Makes it less overwhelming, easier to tackle bit by bit.
Surround and trap the enemy and push them into bad positions. I mean, they sound aggressive, sure. But if you think about it in, say, a negotiation, it's about limiting their options, right? Artfully guiding things towards the outcome you want.
You're shaping the funnel, aren't you? Guiding them down a certain path. Okay, finally, we arrive at the unconventional, dirty warfare strategies. Now, these sound like the really clever, maybe psychological, sometimes tricky moves, often involving deception. It's important, I think, to understand these as tactics. Greene describes things that happen in history and strategic situations without necessarily, endorsing them for every scenario.
Absolutely. It's about knowing the playbook exists, right? Understanding all the moves. So mix truth and fiction to confuse enemies, managing perceptions, creating that fog of war to keep opponents guessing.
Right. And attack from unexpected directions, which again plays on surprise, using their blind spots against them. Then there's take the moral high ground. This can be a potent psychological tool, framing things in your favor, even if your motives are purely strategic underneath.
Related to that maybe is don't give enemies a clear target, making yourself hard to pin down, elusive. I find pretend to help while serving your own goals and let rivals destroy themselves. Really interesting. It's about using others' actions, or maybe their flaws, sometimes just by stepping back and letting them make mistakes instead of jumping in directly.
Indeed. Passive advantage. And take small steps that lead to big change. That's a good reminder that incremental progress, those seemingly small moves, they can add up over time to create really significant shifts.
Then you have the more psychological ones, like get inside their minds and break them from within, which seems to be about understanding and maybe exploiting internal conflicts or weaknesses, whether that's in a group or just a difficult situation.
And appear weak while being in control. Classic misdirection, hidden strength, lulling opponents into feeling secure when they shouldn't.
Give limited choices all in your favor. That feels very negotiation-focused again, doesn't it? Structuring the options so whichever way they go, it benefits you.
Very much so. It's choice architecture, strategically applied.
Absolutely. And then win both heart and mind. Aiming for genuine buy-in, not just compliance, for lasting influence, which kind of leads to the ultimate strategy, maybe. Use chain reactions. One move leads to another. That's about thinking multiple steps ahead, right? Understanding how one action creates ripples.
That's the real mastery, isn't it? Seeing the whole board, the connections, the consequences down the line. So after all that, what's the core message Green leaves us with? How do we apply this in a world that isn't, an actual battlefield?
His main point seems crystal clear. Life is a kind of battle. It's a constant stream of challenges. And these 33 strategies, they offer you that warrior's mindset. Applying them, like we've talked about, can help you navigate and, frankly, win in all sorts of areas: business, relationships, personal goals.
Yeah, it really seems to boil down to staying calm when things get tough, thinking smart about what you actually want to achieve, and then acting boldly when the time is right. That comes up again and again in the source material. It's about being prepared, being proactive. And critically, I think it pushes you towards continuous learning and being adaptable. Green's work isn't meant to be a rigid set of rules, right? It's about grasping the principles and knowing when and how to use them, recognizing that no single strategy fits every situation forever. It's about developing strategic awareness.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? Maybe just consider how adopting even one of these mindsets, whether it's really understanding your inner battles or framing a mission as a bigger cause, how that might change the way you approach your next challenge. What battle in your own life are you maybe seeing a bit differently now, perhaps with a new strategic edge?